You know, before Wall Street crashed, before banks failed, one empire already lived and died through the first financial collapse in history. Long before the dollar, before credit, before the word economy even existed, the Romans created the first global system of money, and accidentally, the first global financial crisis. Rome built roads, armies, and laws, but it also built something even more powerful: a system of debt. The empire discovered that power could be measured, not in soldiers, but in silver. And when the silver ran out, the empire didn't stop spending. It simply changed the rules. The story of Rome's financial collapse isn't ancient history. It's the manual every modern economy still follows. Print, spend, borrow, collapse, repeat. Because the truth is, the first global crash never ended. It just upgraded its technology. When wealth blinded an empire. By the 2nd century, Rome was the richest superpower the world had ever seen. Its armies ruled from Scotland to Syria. Gold from Spain, silk from China, spices from India, everything flowed to Rome. The empire minted over 1 billion silver coins. Markets flourished, roads glistened, senators grew fat from foreign tribute. The Roman citizen believed the prosperity was eternal, but prosperity can be a curse when it blinds you to cost. Every victory required armies, roads, paychecks, and pensions. The empire became addicted to expansion and to spending. When the conquest stopped, so did the income. But Rome refused to shrink. It discovered the same temptation modern nations face today: how to live like an empire without earning like one. And that's when Rome's greatest innovation, money, became its greatest illusion, the hidden crisis, when coins became lies. The first sign of collapse didn't come from the battlefield. It came from the mint. Facing debt and unrest, emperors began quietly lowering the silver content of coins. A denarius, once 94% pure, fell to 85, then 70, then 50. To the naked eye it looked the same, stamped with Caesar's proud face, but beneath the shine, value had vanished. The Roman citizen didn't know it, but he was being taxed by stealth. His wages stayed the same. His coins did not. The world's first monetary illusion had begun. What Nero started as an efficiency became every emperor's addiction. Why raise taxes when you can mint more money? Why borrow when you can cheat the metal? For the first time in human history, a civilization tried to print prosperity out of thin air. And for a while, it worked. Soldiers cheered, markets buzzed. The illusion of wealth became the foundation of empire. But faith, not silver, was now holding the system together. And faith breaks faster than metal. The first inflation. The empire that ate its own currency. Within a generation, the illusion shattered. Merchants realized their coins weighed less, but bought less too. Prices skyrocketed. Bread, oil, and wine cost 10, 20, 50 times more. A denarius that once fed a family for a week could barely buy a crust of bread. Soldiers demanded raises. Tax collectors demanded grain instead of money. Farmers fled their lands. Inflation became Rome's silent assassin. People lost faith in coins, and then in government. Markets collapsed, provinces revolted, armies mutinied. The empire that had conquered the world couldn't pay its own guards. For the first time in history, money itself, the foundation of civilization, stopped working. Sound familiar? The Romans didn't have paper or credit cards, but they had discovered what every future empire would learn: that when you destroy trust in money, you destroy everything built upon it. Diocletian's fix. The world's first economic lockdown. By 284 CE, Rome was on the brink. Its treasury was empty, its citizens desperate. Then came Diocletian, the emperor who tried to save Rome with control. He issued the edict on maximum prices, the first price control law in history. Every good, every wage, every service had a fixed legal price. Raise it, and you die. He forced professions to become hereditary. If your father was a baker, you stayed a baker for life. Taxes were paid in grain, cattle, or labor. Money was too broken to use. Rome had created the first planned economy, where freedom was sacrificed to preserve stability. But no law can outlaw fear. Markets froze, trade vanished, black markets thrived. The empire didn't recover trust, it just silenced complaints. The Great Silence. When trade stopped, the world stopped. For centuries, money had connected the world. From India to Gaul, goods flowed through Rome's arteries. But when the currency failed, those arteries collapsed. Merchants stopped traveling. Ships stopped sailing. Markets turned to barter. Wealth was measured in goats and grain, not coins. Cities emptied, roads decayed. The empire that once unified continents through trade had reverted to isolated villages trading food for tools. Rome had built the first global economy and watched it implode. Not from invasion, not from famine, but from the one thing no empire survives: the death of trust. The aftermath. When the richest empire died broke. By 476 CE, the Western Empire was gone. Its money had turned to dust. Its middle class had vanished. Its empire of marble was now an empire of memory. But its mistakes lived on. Every collapse since, the Dutch tulip mania, the Great Depression, the 2008 crash, the inflation wave of the 2020s, all follow the same formula. Spend more than you earn, print more than you produce, promise more than you can deliver. And when the people finally notice, call it a temporary crisis. Rome fell not because it ran out of gold, but because it ran out of truth. The first financial collapse never ended. It just changed its currency. The crash that never ended. History didn't repeat, it reinvested. The emperors of Rome debased their coins. Our governments debased their promises. The tools changed, from silver to paper to code, but the temptation stayed the same. Create wealth from nothing and hope no one asks questions. Every inflation, every debt bubble, every stimulus is just a softer echo of Rome. They called it denarius, we call it dollar. But the story hasn't changed. Because inflation isn't about money, it's about control. Rome's collapse wasn't the end of an empire. It was the birth of the system we still live under. This is ancient finance, where empires are numbers, and numbers never lie.